I have the answer to your question. Annie, what do those little dashed lines on your patterns mean that I refer to tuck marks in the Ultimate Appliqué reference tool? I'm going to show you what they mean, how to use them, and how to use them to your advantage. I'm Annie Smith, and I'm here today to share with you a special tip about how to use the patterns in the Ultimate Appliqué reference tool. In the back of the tool, there are specific patterns that are referred to as stacked patterns and ones that are tucked. And so a stacked pattern is simply a flower that has the applique elements that are stacked on top of it, and so you fuse those all together and then you stitch them. But the tucked element is a little bit different in that it has those little tuck marks on the pattern that you also have to pick up onto your fusible web, and then one of the sides of the shape gets tucked underneath the other side, and then you stitch them. And so I'm going to show you how to do that and do it correctly so it's no fuss, no muss. First, I'll show you the stacked element. So these are each of the little shapes that build one flower. And so the key to this one is that whatever the shapes are, they will fit on top of the piece beneath it, and they will get progressively smaller as the shape goes. And so with this one, that goes next, and that goes next. And the beauty of applique is that it really is considered to be folk art, and so it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, as the saying goes, but once this is stitched and on your piece, it will look perfect, but it will also look like folk art. When you trace your pattern pieces, you have to put all of the markings that are on the pattern onto your piece as well for your reference. These double dashed lines are referred to in the Ultimate Appliqué reference tool as tuck marks, and they will always look like a number 11, and whatever line they're touching is the line that tells you when you see this right here is, oh, I need to cut on that line because that part of the pattern is going to tuck underneath the piece that is next to it, and when I cut it out, I'm going to have to give myself a fabric allowance. So always make sure to transfer those marks and know which side you're going to be working with, because remember, when you cut out all of the other pieces of your applique shapes, they all need to have a fusible allowance on the outside, because you don't cut on the drawn line until the piece is actually fused. And that's where the confusion comes in just a little bit. So if you look at these shapes right here, this one corresponds to this, and so this was fused to fabric and then cut on the drawn line after it was fused, and then this one is also fused, but when you cut it out, you're going to add at least 1/8 of an inch fabric allowance so that they can be tucked underneath each other easily, and then none of your background is showing or the raw edges of your applique shapes are showing. And so now I have these actually ready to be fused, and I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to lay it over the top of my applique shape, so the extra fabric allowance is underneath the light green and everything is hidden, so there are no raw edges or background peeking through. So see, it's really not that difficult. You just have to understand what the tuck marks are used for. Remember to cut on the drawn line of the fusible, leave at least 1/8 of an inch fabric allowance so that it can be tucked nicely under the shape that it's going to be on your applique.